Now, joining us for further discussions on this is Bolu Michael-Biyi, a foreign policy analyst. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming around. Or should I just call you Bolu? It's nice to see you. Now, from what you've seen so far, how does Venezuela's struggle with internal dissent and external sanctions reflect the political transition seen in countries such as Myanmar and Thailand?
All right, thank you for having me. And what we can see is a global playbook, whether in Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, whether in Venezuela or Thailand. It's the same playbook. It's just proven the fact that the military, they are the ultimate power brokers, and these countries, have been able to prove that. Another example is the Gambia, when this president that was there before Adama Barrow was Yahya Jammeh. Yes, when Yahya Jammeh was there, and he had the military backing, he was speaking strongly, he was speaking tough and all that. The moment the military left him and moved towards the direction of Adama Barrow, that was when he fell. So the military is the ultimate power broker, and that's why democratic governments are really scared of a coup. That's when there's a military takeover. So what we are seeing right now is the weakening of the democratic institution, where elections happen and the parliaments meet, but it's all theatrics. It's just a facade. The military are the one controlling the government, but it's the face of it. A democratic find a situation whereby any opposition and dissent, they get crossed systematically. Any protest is labeled as a foreign interference, and when there's a sanction, it gives them an excuse to say that whatever challenge they are facing as politicians or as a nation is because of external influence. And these same people, if there's something is going wrong in the country and there's no international condemnation anyway, they'll say, oh, the international community, they're just standing idly by doing nothing. And when the international community gets involved, they will call it an interference. So it's a very complex situation. Where do we now draw the line between foreign interference and territorial integrity or national sovereignty?
You say it's quite dicey, so it begs me to ask, is Maduro's grip on power a consequence of weakened democratic institutions in the country?
Yeah, I think so. It's part of it. It's one of the problems. We can't entirely blame it on that alone, but it's a strong sign that the institutions are really weak. When we talk about, and it takes a three-step process. First of all, the judiciary, they become a rubber stamp, and then the electoral commission, the local electoral commission, they lose their independence, and then the legislature, they become irrelevant. And that's why I'm scared of the current situation in our country. We need to strengthen our institutions so that we don't become as weak as as Venezuela. But back to the issue. Once these institutions, they lose their credibility, the autocrats, the autocratic regime, they kind of now legally have they kind of now becoming fundamentally legal, and back onto the question on the global fatigue. Yes, it's a sign that the world is tired of democracy, because democracy right now is not meeting the needs of the people. And what's the alternative? The opposite of democracy will be the military rule. So when the people are frustrated of a democratic government, then they start to crave a military regime, and then the military, they step in and they say they want to clear the system, they want to sanitize the system. And that's what we are seeing in countries like Guinea, we are seeing Mali, we are seeing Burkina Faso. There's a big wave of military regimes because people are tired of democracy. So that's what's playing out in Venezuela as well.
All right, so then, of course, you've made mention of the attending effects, but then let's equally still look at the long-term dangers which might arise when military-backed governments facing both domestic unrest and external pressure reshape democracy to actually justify their dominance.
Okay, so what we are seeing right now is that the military, they are weaponizing democratic language They're using democracy as a tool to perpetrate their agenda. So we're having all over the world different kind of fake democracies, and it's becoming normalized because elections and the constitution, they exist, but they are just covering dictatorship in respective countries. We are also seeing instability here and there and economic stagnation. The military elites, they prioritize extraction over the development of the country. We are also seeing brain drain increasing, with citizens leaving their country in droves. And a concrete example of this is El Salvador. Bukele is there, is very popular, but he's busy dismantling all the possible checks and balances, in the country. And he's always pointing to Venezuela, saying, oh, look at the chaos in Venezuela. I'm not doing well, but can you compare what's going on in our country with what's going on in Venezuela? So we're having autocrats comparing each other, and it's becoming normalized. So democracy becomes associated with failure and strongmanism when it's wrapped in elections that cannot inspire people, that cannot be taken as an aspirational model. And it is quite dangerous for the world. It's very dangerous for countries when we have strong men in power and sitting there tight, like in Cameroon and in other parts of the world. It's not good for the world at all.
Okay, so it brings us to this question. So how can emerging democracies begin to protect themselves from the rise of what some call democratic militarism, where elections exist in form, but then when you talk about accountability, that is suppressed in practice?
Okay, well, we have to strengthen our institutions before any crisis hits, and that involves the courts, the electoral bodies, the audit institutions. They need to be truly independent and strong. And I'm going to give the example of Botswana and Zimbabwe. These are countries in certain part of Africa with a similar history. But Botswana won and invested early in their institutions. They had time limits. They had independent courts. They kept the military out of politics. They kept them professional. They kept them in the barracks. And the result of that is that they've been enjoying a stable democracy for over 50 years now. Now their neighboring country, Zimbabwe, they went the opposite direction. When Mugabe got there, he militarized politics. He placed officers in civilian roles, and he used military to allegedly rig elections. And even when he fell, it was more or less a military coup. And it's still what is perpetrating in Zimbabwe today. And we know what that country has become because of this. So we should all learn from Botswana that it's possible in Africa when we have strong democracy, when we build our institutions early. We would have strong an egalitarian society, and we won't be like some other failing democracies. And this virus is spreading all over Africa now. So if we can learn from Botswana and other countries like Nigeria, countries like Gambia, countries like South Africa can learn from this country, we will make sure that we will to keep our tanks standing and not falling.
Oh. Definitely, there's a lot to learn from this scenario. Thank you so much, Bolu Michael-Biyi, a foreign policy analyst, for sharing your thoughts with us on the show.
Thank you.